That's the breaking news this morning. The World Bank releasing a new report on Nigeria economic update. That's the big story. We'll continue to pour over this today, tomorrow, and the days ahead, wrapping up the year effectively on a very serious note with the World Bank, adding to what's already on the street from the IMF and a few other sources. So, one sector that is also in big picture relating to manufacturing has to do with consumer goods sector. And that was the focus of the Nigerian Stock Exchange 2019 CEO conference. The chief executive officer of the stock exchange, Onyema, spoke about why this sector, consumer goods, is very critical in Nigeria's manufacturing story. Take a listen.
The Nigerian consumer market is one of the fastest growing markets in Africa. As far back as 2013, the market was valued at about 377 billion US dollars and is now expected to reach about 454 billion US dollars by 2025. This growth is driven by three major factors: population, urbanization, and increased spending power. The country's estimated population of over 200 million, with 72% under the age of 30, presents a huge potential for future investment in consumption activity. The manufacturing sector remains a critical segment and plays an integral role in the development and advancement of Nigeria's economy. With a nominal GDP expansion of about 40% year-on-year, recorded in the third quarter of 2019, which is much higher than its performance in corresponding period of 2018, the manufacturing sector has contributed significantly to the nation's economic diversification strategy. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, manufacturing activity accounted for about 12% of GDP in Q3 2019. This is compared to 10% of GDP in the same period last year. Of specific mention is the food, beverage, and tobacco subsector, which accounts for 41% of overall manufacturing activity and grew by 2.98% in Q3 2019 versus 1.22% in Q2 2019. Although these numbers may reflect steady growth in the sector, the reality and headwinds faced by operators in the sector are quite daunting. Over the last few years, Nigeria's economic landscape has been particularly challenging for the manufacturing sector and particularly the consumer goods industry. Despite the implementation of different industrial policies and industrialization strategies like the import substitution policy, export promotion strategy, and foreign private investment-led industrialization, the sector has experienced policy reforms and directives that have negatively impacted on the performance of the sector's value chain. The sector has also suffered a declining productivity rate, largely caused by inadequate and epileptic power supply, substandard trade facilitation infrastructure, high cost of natural gas, multiplicity of taxes, levies, and fees, high excise duties on imported raw materials, congestion at the Lagos seaports, and most recently, the border closure, all of which have resulted in the reduction in capacity utilization and output of operators in the sector. This is direct feedback from our listed companies that are operating in the sector. Furthermore, despite the end of the recession and gradual economic recovery, which started in Q2 2017, the Nigerian consumer market is yet to recover from adjustments in consumer spending patterns following the crash in global oil prices in the second half of 2014, culminating in the 2016 economic recession.
Onyema, the CEO at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Of course, that's the NSE CEO conference focusing on consumer goods subsector of Nigeria's manufacturing space. That's part of what the central bank governor Godwin Emefiele spoke about when he's met with the bankers at the CIBN annual dinner on Friday. If you were not at the dinner and you missed it, let's recap a bit of the access to credit, land border closure, loan to deposit ratio. By the way, the new deadline for 65% threshold expires at the end of this month. Take a break. We're right back.